In today's video, I'll be trying my hardest not to overshare. So it has been a year now since my last romantic breakup, and I figured that I should process that on camera. Against better judgment, against advice to not overshare, and against my natural inclination to be private, I still figured that I should process this here, how far I've come, the lessons that I've learned along the way, and because I know that I will not always be here. It's already been a year and I'm slightly starting to forget some things that happened prior, and I know that in a couple more weeks, months, and years, I'll be over that completely. So here I am to share the story that you didn't ask for. I'm going to start from the very beginning. I met him 7 years earlier, and at that time I had just come out of another relationship, and I think I was 1 year out of another relationship, and I was genuinely not interested in dating anybody, seeing anybody. I just wanted to chill and just enjoy being single. And he shows up out of nowhere when I wasn't looking. And we just had a lot in common. We shared a lot in common. Sparks started to fly. And we started dating. It was so good that my mom had met him once and said that if she didn't know that she gave birth to one child on the day that she was giving birth to me, she would have assumed that she gave birth to twins and the nurses took one of her babies, because that's how much this guy started to look like me, or probably looked like me and I didn't realize. Maybe I was being attracted to him because he looked like me. I don't know what it was, but my mom thought we were twins. So whatever it is that we had was so strong, and we just did things together. Aside from when we were sleeping, we were always together. So I was either at his place or he was at mine, or we were at his school teaching together, or we were out watching movies together. We were always together in such a way that his family members as well thought that he was cray, like, what's wrong with you? What's up? Did this girl give you some form of jazz or something? So that's how it was. And we were both in the process of moving abroad for studies. He's clicked first and he moved to the US. We had the idea that I would also come join him, but my parents were not interested in me going to the US. So we were processing for other countries other than the US. Even though we started with the US, they let the US go and started processing other countries. I told him about it and he felt like, yeah, we can still make this work. But at some point, the process fell through, obviously. That's why I'm still here. And I couldn't go. And we started to have a lot of friction with our relationship because the time zone will not let us communicate the way we used to. And we're used to being in each other's spaces aside from when we were sleeping. Literally. Aside from when we were sleeping, we're almost always together. So it felt very difficult to adjust. There was just a lot of communication barriers, communication issues. He now had something that was different from mine. We had to break up pretty much. At the end of the day, we ended the relationship. But we remained friends. So we were friends even those 7 years later. We kept being friends. We also got into different other relationships, and we'll keep in touch sometimes and then we'll disappear sometimes. So we can be talking for like 2 months in and then just disappear, like life happens and all. However, 7 years later, he pops up into my life very seriously. And I had several reasons to believe that he was the one, because that was a very strategic time to pop up in my life. And it's not something I can share right now. Maybe I'll make a separate video on why I thought so. But I thought that he had to have been sent by God. I thought that the time for me to get married has come and the right guy for me had shown up at that time. It was a no-brainer. It wasn't something that he was actually forcing down my throat to do, because I genuinely liked him from the previous years and he did too. And we had such a good foundation from that year. But one thing I told him, because he started talking about how he really wanted to marry me, he was ready to get married, and the only person that comes to mind was me. And I also thought about it and I was like, yeah, this is the kind of person that I would marry and not feel weird that I was getting married to him. The picture of him and I getting married did not scare me off. I didn't feel uncomfortable. It felt cute. It felt like something I would like to do. So I just told him that we had known each other 7 years ago, and even though we were friends from a distance. We're now in different environments, exposed to different other cultures, and experiences had happened. So we may not exactly be the same people that we were then. So I thought that it would make sense for us to get to know each other all over again. So we started dating versus courting kind of thing. And in between that, we were also talking about how we could be we could move from long distance relationship to being in the same space, because of course the last time we broke up was because our relationship was long distance. So we decided that since I had been trying to study abroad and it had not worked all this while, we figured that since he's already in the US now and I had always wanted to do this, then let's just work on getting me to study in the US. That way, I'll be with him, and then we'll just see how things go from there. So we started to work on that. He carried the majority of the financial load in that particular aspect. He knew a lot about the whole process, so he would put me through. He would tell me what to get, what not to get, and I would just send it to him, and he was just on top of the process. It was a very slow process. Even some points that I felt was not supposed to take that long, it was taking so long. But I wouldn't. Sometimes I would suspect that maybe he's having cold feet and he's suddenly realizing what this means and getting afraid of it. Other times I would be like, okay, maybe because I'm not the one doing the process, I think it's that easy to just do the process. So I would just let him do this thing, and everything was great. I was happy to be with him. He was definitely someone I wanted to marry. And so it was the fact that I thought that God had really endorsed this guy, like God has sent him back to me because this was the one. Some things started to change as we went along. I started to feel emotionally unsafe. I started to notice that I would hold my breath. I would tiptoe around him, and I was walking on eggshells whenever we would have to communicate. And we communicated a lot because, like we said, the last breakup was because of communication issues. So we tried to make sure that that wouldn't happen. I would stay up longer than my time zone as well, just so that we could be in the same time zone, and so would he. So we both make sacrifices, and sometimes when he's busy but he still wants me to see him in the background, we'll just get on a video call and he can be doing his thing and I'll be doing my thing. But I started to become scared whenever I would see his name pop up when he's calling me. And that was mostly because I wasn't sure at what point within our conversation, before the conversation, in between the conversation, or at the end of the conversation, that he would get upset. I started to notice that he would just suddenly get upset out of the blue, and it made me nervous. Okay, let me give some examples that would make you understand this. So it was this time that he asked me to tell him about a certain event that happened in my life that he was curious about. He had heard it before, but not in detail. So I was telling him about it. While I was still talking, he suddenly says, "Tell me something sweet." And I was already talking, so I had to pause. My brain had to tell me that I've just been interrupted and he had just asked me to tell him something sweet. So while I'm dealing with all of this in my head, he gets upset that I wasn't quick enough to say something sweet. I didn't still say something sweet, but he gets upset because it wasn't what he had in his mind that I would tell him that I told him. And then I'm like, I don't know what's in your mind. So how am I supposed to tell you what's in your mind? If you want me to tell you something exactly, something in particular, you could just tell me what you would like me to tell you, and I confirm that that's something I believe, or that's something I think about you, or that's how I feel about you. And we got into an argument over it, and the outburst from that argument was so heavy. It felt like I stole his car, or I revealed a secret that he told me not to ever tell anybody, or I betrayed him in some way. So the reaction was so heavy. I was scared. I think I disappeared for a day or so. Like he couldn't reach me because I was scared. I was confused. But then we talked it out, and I told him that I did not think that that particular event required that kind of outburst. And he said he was sorry. So we kept on talking. And then I think there was another moment where he, like I said, we're in the process of this application and applying for the US and all that. So in between, he sends me a mail, some documents via mail, and he asked me if I had seen what he had sent. And he was talking to me about something very important to him when he asked me that question. So I said, no, I haven't checked. He said, then check. So I go to check, I go on my laptop to check what he had sent. Unfortunately for me, I assumed that me checking would mean me reading it out so that he can confirm that what he sent is exactly what I'm reading. So I go and I check and then I read what was in the mail. I look up and his face has changed. He's upset. And I asked why he's upset. And he's angry because he didn't tell me to read the mail. He told me to just check if I had gotten the mail. So I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't know that you wanted me to just check. So I was reading it out so that it would confirm that that's exactly what you sent, or if it's something else that you needed to send. He got angry that I didn't take him seriously and I didn't want to listen to him, and he was trying to be vulnerable with me about a certain topic, and I got distracted to read an email. So I apologize and I tell him that I genuinely want to hear what he wants to say. I care about him, I care about his emotions. If not, I would not have asked. So we could just go back to talking about um, what he was saying. And he wasn't having it. There was another outburst from this. Like he was mad, he was livid. And I was scared again. I wasn't used to that. I'm used to if I tell someone I'm sorry, especially for something I feel like is little, like this event, that's okay, I'm sorry now, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. he would say, okay, but please just pay attention and then we'll move on from there. But it wasn't the case. We fought for 3 hours. He had to go out to cool off and then come back later. And there had also been another event where we sent each other our outfit of the day for Sunday service. I sent mine. He said I look beautiful and he liked my glasses, and we moved on. And then when it was his own time to go to church, he sent his, and I told him that he looks nice. I called him, I think, finest boy or something. I can't remember exactly the compliment I gave, but it was more of a hype. And he got upset. He said that, is that all I could say? Is that all you can say? Like, he doesn't feel like I complimented him well enough. And I had to point it out again that if there is a certain kind of words that you would like to hear from me, please just tell me and I will from today henceforth call you that. But this is me giving you a compliment from my heart. This is how I feel about you. This is how I felt when I saw the photo. I genuinely meant it when I complimented you in that way. But if it's not something you like, then you could just tell me what you like or what you prefer, and I will do that. But he wasn't having that, so we got into an argument again where he was shouting and yelling about how he never gets what he wants. He, and I'm so confused. And at this point, you can imagine how why I became nervous because I could just be sitting down in the background while he's watching, and he could come back and be upset about something I did that I didn't realize I've done, and we'll start fighting or start arguing. So there was that emotional unsafety there, and also in regards to feeling like I wasn't exactly being protected with his family members as well. So his family members were not the most welcoming kind of people. Now, I can't judge them or criticize them because I don't know them very well. But from my first few experiences or first few encounters with them, aside from one family member, the rest of them felt, or rather, aside from two family members, the rest of them felt unwelcoming in some way. I don't know if it was just a personality thing that I was reading too much meaning into or something, but I let my then boyfriend know about it, and he decided instead that I just didn't like his family. And that wasn't the point. The point is, you know the family, so you could explain to me what's going on, or maybe there is a way you could arrange the grounds before I get there. Like, for example, he forgot that he would introduce me to his sister before suddenly sending me to his sister's house to go see her. I had to point that out before he did the introduction and other events like that. So I felt like I wasn't very protected by him from his family, or at least introduced better to his family. And that also made me feel emotionally unsafe. I would bring that up and we would have an argument because to him, he feels like I am unappreciative of the things that he is doing for me, especially as regards all the financial obligations he has to carry with my whole admission to the United States. And he felt like I wasn't appreciative enough of his efforts, and instead I was looking at the things that he wasn't doing, that he has been doing 80%, but I was more focused on the 20% that he was doing. It was confusing for me because in my own end and my own head, this 20% is emotional unsafety. To me, that doesn't feel like a 20%. This 20% is heavier than the 80%. I'd rather be single and not be trying to go abroad and have no peace than having someone trying to take care of me financially, but I'm unsafe. Now, I actually was grateful. I genuinely was grateful, but I just could not stop talking about how I feel unsafe. I feel like he has some emotional outburst out of nowhere, and I felt like if he would have this kind of outburst for such a tiny situation, then I was scared of what he would do when there is actually a bigger issue or a something that I would actually do to annoy him because I'm not perfect and I definitely would do something that would be grave and more annoying. So I always was scared that he might beat me up or slap me or something. So that was something I was always bringing up, and he would always counter it with, "You're not appreciative." No, I'm appreciative of what you're doing for me, and I genuinely love all of these things that you do for me. But I still cannot rule out this because for me to stay in a healthy relationship with you, I need to feel safe. We're always fighting about this, always quarreling about this, and it just became an issue. On several occasions, I had also initiated a breakup because I felt like my peace was just more important to me. If you've been single for such a long time, and for me, I was single for 4 years before I started dating him, I already knew what being single and being at peace felt like. So my peace regulator was very intact. So when he started to go off, I already started to feel like, yeah, I'm not at peace. I don't feel at peace anymore. So I wanted to be out. And he would say, or he would accuse me of escapism, that I didn't want to work things out in a relationship, instead I just wanted to up and leave. And because of that, I didn't want to be an escapist. I would try to work things out. Sometimes he would tell me that he's sorry and he will make amends. And I would stay because, of course, I like this guy. And honestly, if he can work on this, I don't know why I want to leave. But then there were no improvements. I had to get counseling. I suggested counseling. He dragged his feet about it. I went to get counseling alone, and then when he noticed that I was getting counseling alone and even feeling slightly more distant, he suggested another counselor, which we both saw together. And that's a long story I can't go into right now. But at the end of the day, we broke up. I was beginning to feel emotionally depleted. I went to see a family member of his, and that event did not go well. And I decided from then on that this is not going to work. I started to have low blood pressure from all of the stress because, on top of that, I had two other courses that I was taking at this very point, and adding up to that was just too much for me. So I think there was also an event where I was also walking on eggshells when it came to telling him about my day because if I took a walk and you guys said hi to me, then we were fighting about it. Then there's something suspicious going on. And it just started to impede on my peace. He would also complain that I knew too much and that was going to impede on his leadership. That is him leading me in marriage. And also that he felt like I felt like I was always right and everyone else was wrong. And of course, there are two sides to the story. Maybe I have a log in my eye while I'm trying to point out a speck in another person's eyes. But for me, the major reason why I left was because for me, I wasn't emotionally feeling safe. I wasn't feeling protected. And I started to feel like I couldn't be in peace. I couldn't talk to people randomly in peace. And I wasn't even being trusted in my character because I felt like I had never given him a reason to believe that I was flirting with other guys or cheating on him with other guys. But that was something that he always had at the back of his mind and always felt insecure about. So yeah, the breakup just had to happen. So it didn't come out of nowhere. And my gut feeling already was telling me that I can't do this. But then again, there was also the part where I felt like God definitely had sent him for for reasons that I would share eventually. It was hard to live. I also had feelings involved. We also had these dreams and visions together. So it was hard, but it had to be done. So I left. And this is not for me to come here and rant or overshare or talk about my ex in a bad way because that guy I think was a good guy. I just felt like there was just a tad bit of work that should have been done and everything will be okay. And I hope he has done that work or at least is doing that work so far. So yeah, I wish that I could even have had him as my friend instead of dating him and spoiling the whole thing, but it is what it is. But today, I just want to share the lessons. I think this is going to be my longest video so far on YouTube, but I genuinely don't care. I don't think I can break this down into two parts. If I could, I would. I can't, so I won't. I have my laptop here, so if I'm looking down, that is why I wrote some lessons I've learned from that relationship. And of course, this also spreads into other relationships I've had. And I know that I'm not the only person who is dealing with or has dealt with something similar to this in some way. So I'm just here to share my lessons and to help someone realize that they made the right decision. They walked away from something because of something similar to this. So lesson number one, safety is a non-negotiable. Like I said, I was single for 4 years before this time, so I knew exactly what it felt like to be at peace. The only worry I had was how to make money. Currently, that's also the only worry I have right now. How to make money, how to survive, how to live, how to afford my livelihood. So going from that to a relationship that made me to walk on eggshells made me realize how important it is for me to actually feel safe. I think my major issue was that I wasn't feeling emotionally safe, but even physically, mentally, spiritually, and otherwise, I realized that I needed safety for me to think that my relationship with someone is healthy. So if I have to walk on eggshells, or if I have to sacrifice my peace on the altar of you taking care of me, or on the altar of not feeling looking like an escapist just to be there, then I definitely would leave. And I feel like I should have left sooner because now I'm dealing with burnout. Now I'm trying to heal. I had to deal with the illnesses that came with just being stressed. I realized that I'm not the type of person that a relationship should stress unnecessarily. Unnecessarily. Life comes with this stress. Relationship is work. But on safety or walking on eggshells is a no-no for me. So, no. Safety is definitely non-negotiable for any woman. I don't know about a man. I think they need that too. But as a woman, it's always said that a woman needs security, and security is pretty much means safety. How do I feel safe with you? Number one, you are stable in your emotions. Number two, you're reliable. You are consistent in a good way. You are faithful. Those are the things that makes me feel like I can relax and feel safe with you. Those are what makes me come out into being more in my feminine energy than in my masculine. In my masculine is where I have to protect myself. But since you're already masculine enough to protect me, then I don't have to. So safety is a non-negotiable. Lesson number 2. There can be a fallacy in the 80-20% rule. So no one is perfect. So you might not find 100% in one person. So if you have a partner that does 80%, they are doing a very good job. If you even see 70, praise the Lord. So if someone sees that they are doing 80%, doing a good job, and the grass is not green on the other side. However, it depends on what the 20% they are not doing means to you. If the 20% they are not doing is a non-negotiable, then you should still leave, because then that 20% to you is the 80%. So for me, I thought he gave me gifts, he bought me flowers, he wrote me letters, he was doing this huge financial obligation of trying to bring me abroad and all that. He really, really tried, and I was very grateful. And if really I was grateful and he didn't see it, I'm genuinely sorry. I told him before we broke up that I'm genuinely sorry if for whatever reason my gratitude did not reach you, because I genuinely was grateful for that. But I will not trade in my peace, my sanity for that. So you have to figure out what your 80% is. What does 80% mean? It's that it is the 20% that they are not giving you actually, and 80%, then leave. Just leave them. Yeah. Lesson number 3 would be on familial alignment. I will not be marrying a guy whose family members do not want me or do not accept me. I think before this, I felt like I'm getting married to the man, I'm not getting married to his family. So if he can even protect me from his family, which I wanted my ex to do, I would marry him. I'll stay with him because I'm not marrying his family. But no, I want his family to love me. I don't want to be tolerated by them. I don't want them to even have to pretend. I want to feel like I'm accepted as one of the children. I'm accepted as family, that they love me. And because I've experienced that in the past with another relationship I was in, I just cannot settle. So if my partner's family members do not like me, that marriage cannot proceed. It's a disaster. I have seen it be a disaster for so many women, especially if you're a woman. Now, I'm not saying that this cannot happen to men, but most times I just notice that rampant with women. Maybe because I'm a woman and I notice only women, but this is my own 2 cents on the matter. Number 4, knowing too much is a strength. So I felt very bad because my ex told me that I knew too much, and it was off-putting. It made him feel like it would impede on his leadership of me in the home if we are going to get married. And I felt bad about that. I felt like, okay, maybe I'm an ITK, maybe I know too much. But it's a strength. And if my partner does not think that me knowing a lot is a strength, then we can't be in partnership, because iron is supposed to sharpen iron. And the Bible calls me a helpmate. I'm getting married to a man to be his helper. And the helpmate is pretty much, the Greek word for it is pretty much compared to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is a counselor, is a comforter, is a teacher, is a guide, it's everything. So it means that I should be able to know bits of everything to be a helper to you. So if you see me knowing a lot as a stumbling block for you, then I can't be with you, because I'm not going to shrink or not know much just so that you can lead. Because I was advised to dim down my knowledge, to act like I don't know, to just follow him, even if I feel like he's leading us into the wrong path, and just let him lead us into the wrong path. I'm sorry, but I'm not about to crash, especially if I have children. I mean, even just me, but if I have children, I'm not about to crash because you are insecure that I know something. It's a blessing. And the funny thing is, I don't know a lot. I genuinely don't think I know a lot. I think I know a lot on certain topics, but not a lot on the others. And I've noticed a lot of things that he knows in certain areas that I didn't know. So I just thought that we were going to complement each other. So to hear that, I know so much, and that's why you can't lead. It's bizarre. I will not dim down my light for anybody. And I would only go with someone who appreciates the knowledge that I have and even wants me to learn more. Number 5, financial independence is a safety net for your soul. So I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that another reason I stayed longer in that relationship was not because I wasn't financially stable and he was doing for me what I've always wanted to do, but I wasn't financially stable to handle it by myself. And so because of that, I was taking the garbage, the trash, the accusations, the unsafety, the nervousness, the walking on eggshells, because this is something that he's doing for me. And it's through the grace of God for me to leave. And I'm glad that I left. But had I been financially stable, the question would be, would I have still stayed? Because I could have been able to do that by myself. That's one. Number 2, I would not have been accused of being unappreciative. because there will be nothing to hold me to. We'll finally be able to talk about the emotional unsafety without bringing out what he was doing because I would be doing that by myself. It probably would not get to being insulted or wanting worship because I somewhat felt like he wanted worship, not appreciation. Because I was grateful and I always showed that I was thankful and all. So, what more did you want if not worship? Oh, worship me because you don't have the money. Your family is not going to help you with this. I'm doing this for you, so worship me. So you can't act out. You can't see you feel emotionally unsafe. Be emotionally unsafe. Suck it up. Take the trash because I'm sorting you out financially. So every woman should get her money up. She should have a source of livelihood. She should have her own money. And I'm not actually a lazy person, so it's not like I'm sitting down not having my own money. I've just been applying for jobs, not getting anything, upskilling myself, trying businesses that's failed and all. But it's still the point. Be financially independent. And if possible, maybe you should be at least a bit financially independent before you get married. Because the world is changing and you might even be a liability if you don't bring finances to the table. And it's just your protection. If the man is quickly, you can take care of your kids, you can take care of yourself, you can walk away and have a house to rent or move abroad or something because you can afford it. So financial independence is a must. Number six, living an emotionally unsafe relationship is not escapism. Period. I don't think I need to say much on that. It's not escapism. If you don't feel safe, leave. Don't let anybody accuse you of escapism when you are leaving for your sanity. Last but definitely not least, but the last thing that I can think of right now, give me a minute. Insecurity is not a compliment. I know there are some women who feel like when their husband or when their man is being possessive of them or feeling extremely jealous about every slightest thing that they do with the opposite gender, then he's it's a compliment, it's flattery, then he loves me. No, sometimes it's just control. Sometimes he needs to work on it. For one, this is going to be within context. I am not the type of person who flirts with people. Matter of fact, I have the BRF. So to even talk to me is a very, very hard thing. I have to know you to smile at you in public. And you have to get to talk to me to get that friendly part of me. I don't walk on the road smiling, so it's hard to even talk to me. So when you're talking to me and I'm giving you faces, I don't know how I'm flirting. So I don't flirt with guys. I try to set boundaries between me and the guy. But I'm also I'm also a social being. So if I see a neighbor that is on the street and I greet him because he's a guy, I don't see how it should be making you feel insecure or making you ask me if I'm cheating. I haven't given you a reason to. Of course, there are people who have given their partners a reason to actually think that because they fled to law, they've cheated in the past, they are not trustworthy, their character is fishy. So I'm not talking about that because you can actually trigger insecurity in your partner by your bad behavior. Or whereby you know you have not given your partner a reason to feel like you are cheating and they are just insecure. You can't talk to someone because you have a partner, because you have a relationship. Okay, when you start a business, are you not going to hire employees? You have a business, you can't have a male employee, or you go for a contract and you can't talk to the man that is going to sign the contract or what? In this life, you have to talk to people and that doesn't make you a cheat. So it's not a compliment always. Of course, there are times when it's cute when your man is jealous, when your partner is jealous. It means that they love him. So I'm not saying that you should go for someone who has never been territorial or jealous of you. That is also a red flag. We should be territorial and jealous of you, but they should also do it within reason. I don't know how to put it, but I hope you get the point. So I hope this was helpful to anyone who may have had something similar to the experience that I've had. You didn't make the wrong decision to leave your relationship for any of these reasons. And it may hurt, but you are going to heal. You will not always be here. And I think maybe the next few videos I'll be talking about is on how to heal from a breakup. I also mentioned that I lost 8 friends, even though now I'm counting, I found out that I had lost more than 8 friends. So that's also a heartbreak, the friendship heartbreak I've gone through the past year, and then the romantic relationship heartbreak. So I think I'm qualified to talk about how to heal from a breakup or a heartbreak or a betrayal or something. So yeah, and until next time, I love you guys. Stay golden. Bye.